You and people like you do interact on Twitter. It's obviously enormously powerful in shaping public opinion. It's where a lot of ideas and trends are incubated.
Yeah.
You know it, that's why you bought it. It's also a magnet for intel agencies from around the world. And one of the things we learned after you started opening the books is that they were exerting influence from within Twitter.
I mean, it was absurd.
Did you know that going in?
No. Since I've been a heavy Twitter user since 2009, it's sort of like I'm in the matrix. I mean, I can see, like, do things feel right? Do they not feel right? What tweets am I being shown as recommended? I get a feel like what accounts are making comments. Where are the comments eerily similar?
Yeah.
And then you look at the account, and it's just obviously a fake photo, and it's just obviously a bot cluster over and over again. So I started to get like just more and more uneasy about the Twitter situation. I was starting to feel like something's wrong in the state of Denmark here. There's something feels wrong about the platform. It seemed to be just drifting in a. I couldn't place it exactly. Just it felt like it was drifting in a bad direction. So then I was like, and my conversations with the board and management seemed to confirm my intuition about that. But basically, I was convinced these guys do not care about fixing Twitter, and I had a bad feeling about where I was headed based on the conversations I had with them. So then I was like, you know what, I'll try acquiring it and see if acquiring it is possible. Now, I didn't have enough cash to acquire it, so I would need support from others, from some of the existing investors. I would also need like a lot of debt, and so it wasn't clear to me whether an acquisition would succeed, but I thought I would try. And ultimately, it did succeed. Anyway, here we are.
But when you got there, and all of a sudden you own it, and all the data on the servers belongs to you. And
well, it belongs to the people, in my view, but yes.
But you can see what it is, and you can see what they've been doing, and you can see who's been working there. You were shocked to find out that various intel agencies were affecting its operations?
The degree to which various government agencies had effectively had full access to everything that was going on Twitter blew my mind. I was not aware of that.
Would that include people's DMs?
Yes. Yes, because the DMs are not encrypted. So one of the things that we're about to release is the ability to encrypt your DMs.
That's pretty heavy duty, though, because a lot of well-known people, reporters talking to their sources, government officials, the richest people in the world, they're DMing each other. And the assumption, obviously, it was incorrect, but was that that's private, but that was being read by various governments?
Yeah, that seems to be, yes.
It's scary.
Yes, it is. Like I said, we're moving to have the DMs be optionally encrypted. I mean, there's like a lot of DM conversations which are, just chatting with friends. It's not important.
Of course.
That's hopefully coming out later this month, but no later than next month, is the ability to toggle encryption on or off. So if you are in a conversation you think is sensitive, you can just toggle encryption on, and then no one at Twitter can see what you're talking about. They could put a gun to my head, and I couldn't tell. I couldn't. That's sort of the gun to the head test. If someone puts a gun to my head, and can I still not see your DMs? That's the acid test.
Yes.
And that's how it should be if you want your.
Have you had complaints from various governments about doing this?
I haven't had direct complaints to me. I've had sort of like some indirect complaints. I think people are a little concerned about complaining to me directly in case I tweet about it. They're like, uh-oh. So they're sort of trying to be more roundabout than that. I mean, if I got something that was unconstitutional from the U.S. government, my reply would be to send them a copy of the First Amendment and just say, like, what part of this are we getting wrong?
You have a lot of government contracts.
What part of this are we getting wrong? Please tell me.
I mean, it's a pretty. No, I'm just saying, but you're kind of exposed in your other businesses. So this is just in case our viewers aren't following this. This is not. You're not just like a journalist taking a stand on behalf of the First Amendment. You're a guy with big government contracts, giving the finger to the government. Do you think Twitter will be as central to this presidential campaign as it was in the last several?
I think it will play a significant role in elections, not just domestically, but internationally. The goal of New Twitter is to be as fair and even-handed as possible, so not favoring any political ideology, but just being fair to all.
Why doesn't Facebook do this? I know that Zuckerberg has said, and I take him at face value, that he, I do actually in this way, that he is a kind of old-fashioned liberal who doesn't like to censor. He has, but he, like, why wouldn't a company like that take the stand that you have taken, which is pretty rooted in American traditional political custom, for free speech?
My understanding is that Zuckerberg spent $400 million in the last election, nominally in a get-out-the-vote campaign, but really fundamentally in support of Democrats. Is that accurate or not accurate?
That is accurate. Yes.
Does that sound unbiased to you?
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
So you don't see hope that Facebook will approach this as a non-aligned arbiter? You've allowed Donald Trump back on Twitter. He hasn't taken you up on your offer because he's got his own thing.
Right.
Do you think he will go back on Twitter?
Well, that's obviously up to him. My job is to, I take the freedom of speech just very seriously. So it's. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I actually voted for Biden. Not saying I'm a huge fan of Biden, because I would think that would probably be inaccurate. But we have difficult choices to make in these presidential elections. It's not. I would prefer, frankly, that we put someone, just a normal person, as president, a normal person with common sense, and whose values are smack in the middle of the country. Center of the normal distribution, and I think that would be great. I think we have made maybe being president not that much fun, to be totally frank. It meant a shrinking pie, obviously, for most of the traditional media companies, and made them more desperate to get clicks, to get attention. And it's made them, when they're in sort of a desperate state, they will then tend to really push headlines that get the most clicks, whether those headlines are accurate or not. So it's resulted, in my view, I think most people would agree, a less truthful, less accurate news. Because they just got to get a rise out of people. And I think it's also increased the negativity of the news, because I think we humans instinctually respond more to I think we have an instinctual negative bias, which kind of makes sense in that, like, if let's say, it's more important to remember where was the lion, or where was the tribe that wants to kill my tribe, than where is the bush with berries.
Yes.
Like, one's like a permanent negative outcome, and the other is like, well, I might go hungry. So, meaning like there's an asymmetry in, sort of involved asymmetry in negative versus positive stuff. And also historically, the negative stuff would have been quite proximate. Like, it would have been near, represented a real danger to you as a person, if you heard negative news. Because historically, like a few hundred years ago, we're not hearing about what negative things are happening on the other side of the world, or on the other side of the country. We're hearing about negative things in our village, things that could actually have a bad effect on you. Whereas now we're hearing about, the news very often seems to attempt to answer the question, what is the worst thing that happened on Earth today? And you wonder why you're sad after reading that,
Do you read any legacy media outlets?
I really get most of my news from Twitter at this point. It is the number one news source, I think, in the world at this point. What
percentage of your staff did you fire at Twitter? One of the great business stories of the year.
I think we're about 20% of the original size.
So 80% left.
Yes.
So
I mean, a lot of people voluntarily.
Sure. But it's 80% are gone from the day you took
That's
over.
correct, yes.
So how do you run the company with only 20% of the staff?
It turns out you don't need that many people to run Twitter.
But 80%? That's a lot.
Yes. I mean, if you're not trying to run some sort of glorified activist organization and you're not care that much about censorship, then you can really let go of a lot of people, it turns out.
How many others, without naming names, but how many, I had dinner with somebody who runs a big company recently who said, I'm really inspired by Elon. And I said, the free speech stuff? He goes, no, the firing the staff stuff. Yeah. How many other CEOs have come to you to talk about this?
I spend a lot of time at work, so it's not like I'm meeting with lots of people. They see what actions I've taken, but I think we just had a situation at Twitter where it was absurdly overstaffed. So it wasn't like you look and say, like, what does it really take to operate Twitter? Most of what we're talking about here is a group text service at scale. Like, how many people are really needed for that? And if you look at what has been the product development over time with Twitter, and you're years versus product improvements, and it's like a pretty flat line. So what are they doing? It took a year to add an edit button that doesn't work most of the time. I mean, I feel like it was a comedy situation here. You're not making cars, That's very difficult to make cars or get rockets to orbit. So, the real question is, like, how did it get so absurdly overstaffed? This is insane. So, anyway, and it's clearly working. In fact, I think it's working better than ever. We've increased the responsiveness of the system by, in some cases, over 80%. We're trying to make Twitter the most trusted place on the internet, the least untrustworthy place on the internet. I don't think anyone should trust the internet, but maybe we can make Twitter the least untrustworthy. Like I said, try to get the truth to the people as best we can.